3 o'clock, so we'll just jump right in. So thank you for joining our mobile kickoff call. As usual, as you know, myself, Yuki's on this call, as well as Linnea, amazing task force from Chicago. She's been helping a lot with mobile launch in Imran Dining project, and Melissa, who's on the background on the helping with, as you know, with the key and chat. She's been a great part of our team. And I just wanted to introduce some of the key people that's been helping and supporting with us for the digital project. So Scott, who is the SVP of RIMS, I'm sure everyone knows. He is joined with us on this call with Ian in Dallas. He will be giving a little bit of his exciting comments shortly, but we also have a team from marketing as well as IT team helping on this project and supporting on this project to make sure it goes as smooth as possible for transition from Intelli to this new platform. So Scott, I've muted your line.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Yuki. Wow, what a build-up. I have to give an exciting update here. No, I think everybody's going to be very pleased with what they're going to see today, and for everybody in the screen, but really to everybody in the field for the great work you've done with our first version of the mobile app, and now for our mobile 2.0, which we think is going to bring a lot more to the table that you'll see today. And some of it has been in the works since we launched the first one. Some has come through your great contributions and suggestions and the new technology we built along the way. It's exciting for us to see, and hopefully for you to see, these different successful technologies all being linked together, and most importantly, the great work that everybody in the line has done with chat to make that a great initiative for our guests and employees, but also with our new concierge platform, Key. And so you'll see today about how mobile app, Key, and concierge are all going to be linked in a really cool way that's going to really improve the guest experience. We also, the in-room dining is going to change as well, and there's a little bit of work for the in-room dining teams that are on the line today, and we appreciate your effort there, but trust us, it's for a much better guest experience, and we think we'll be much better in the end for it. But we thank everybody in advance for your work to get the mobile app 2.0 up and running in your property, and I think you'll enjoy the call today with Yuki, Linnea, and Melissa. So I'll pass it back over to you, Yuki. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. So after today's call, you will be learning about the digital project overview. So you will be learning about different aspects of it, and we'll also be covering timeline and your role as a lead on this project. And we will be covering what's next, so what kind of training that you will have to be attending, and dates on these trainings. So before jumping into that, we wanted Chris from marketing team to cover some of the visions that encompasses digital product as a whole.
Yeah, thanks, Yuki. Hey, everybody. It's great to be on the call, and echoing Scott's excitement for what we're going to show you today. It is really pretty powerful and really brings together a lot of the work we've been doing over the last couple of years. I thought I'd spend just a couple minutes recapping some of the key things that have gone into our thinking as we've been building not only the mobile app that we'll walk through today, but also a lot of the platforms we've been building over the last year or two. And they really all come back to a few key pieces of insight and kind of inspiration for us that we've been focused on and has shaped what we've been working on and how we've been thinking about what to build. The first one that I would probably start with would be this idea of mobile really having an impact on where people are being inspired. And as mobile continues to grow and social platforms continue to become a focal point within the mobile environment, the points of inspiration have really shifted to places like Facebook and Instagram and on mobile devices. And that's been incredibly important for us as we thought about the way FourSeasons.com would be built, how we create content to be really used and reused across different platforms, and certainly has influenced our digital marketing as well. So one, that was an incredibly important impact that mobile had on that. As we move into the next piece, it's really about, again, no surprise, mobile, but mobile's really changed the way that we've also decided to interact with digital, whether it's from a content perspective, but also from a communication perspective. And it's probably this insight that had the most impact on our decision to build out chat and really focus on that. And I think, again, as people move into spending more and more time on mobile devices inside of apps, we know chat apps, messaging apps are 6 of the top 10 apps in the world that people are using. Messaging is critical and so important. It's changing the way people communicate, so another key focus. The last one, and this is an incredibly important insight as we think about the world of digital operations and IT all kind of blending and blurring together, is this idea that there's this expectation that our guests have that the service that we bring to them is ultimately connected and seamless. And I think when we talk about this, and we talk about it a lot internally, we don't think and we don't believe that people are holding us to the standard of what Marriott or Hilton are doing. They're holding us to the standard of Apple and Netflix and Tesla and Uber in terms of what they expect. And if anyone in hospitality is going to deliver a seamless experience, it should be us. So when we're looking at the bar that we're trying to set, we're looking to those companies for inspiration and thinking about how not to compete with them necessarily in the space, but certainly to use our advantages to our benefit and build things that are really valuable. So when we talk about that, that really means using technology as a way to connect our people with our guests and not to replace that human interaction, but to make it even more special, personal, and anticipatory. So with those things being said, I think, leading into what we really want to achieve, it would be really thinking about building an experience that ultimately is seamless and connected. And I think this is where all the work in Golden and Key becomes so valuable, and you'll see that in the next few slides as Yuki and the rest of the team talk more about the different features in the app. But this idea of really building a better relationship through a connected experience is a lot of what's been behind the scenes driving us to build not only the mobile app, but a lot of the other platforms that we've built out in the last little while. So this would be things like fourseasons.com, Golden, which we mentioned, Key, which Scott talked about up off the top, and chat. And then this idea of using Key to actually help guests see what they've planned with us beyond the room, things like transportation or activities, and giving them that feedback inside of the different digital platforms that we have, so that regardless of how they're talking to us, whether they're chatting with us or talking to us on the phone, that's all coming back to a single place that they can view and see, so that the interaction with us truly does feel seamless and like the conversation is never fragmented or not fully understood. And that's really what's been driving us. So we're going to see, I can pass it back to Yuki in a minute, and we're going to dive in a little bit deeper, but certainly that idea of being, consistent across channel, online and offline, to be able to tell our guests and talk to them in a way that's truly tailored and personal. And I think, the mobile app is probably the most exciting representation of this, which is really cool. So with all that as a bit of a setup, I think I'll pass it back to Yuki, and she'll get a little bit more deep into why we're working on the project and what you can expect over the next month or two.
Thank you, Chris. So we just wanted to let you know why we're doing this. So as some of you may know, Intelity's contract is ending in 2019, and this actually opened up an opportunity for us to create our own app to drive better experience, not only for the guests, but also for yourself at the property. And you can see from Golden, Key, Chat, we built them by ourselves based on your requirements and based on your expectation. And with Intelity going, we decided that this would be an opportunity for us to just help build something that will help hotel team as well. So some of the key features that we wanted to highlight here is the single content source. So content will now be coming from FS.com. So you no longer need to manage content in Intelli and FS.com. And in terms of request management, same request management process will apply to what you do today. So if you're a hot sauce property, you're managing requests in hot sauce. So the request will go straight into hot sauce. And if you're ICS properties, then your request will go into a replacement of ICS called Quest. So it will be going into there, and process will be quite similar. And we'll also have this exciting feature within Messenger where you can create a request from hot sauce or Quest. So what that means is if you're chatting with the guest wants a towel, for example, you can create a request from Messenger directly, so you don't have to open hot sauce or you don't have to open Quest to make a request for guests. And in terms of reporting, you no longer have to do the reporting back to us, so the monthly reporting to us. We will have a better consolidated reporting to better understand not just property metrics, but to understand what guests are requesting at what point, when and how they're requesting. And in terms of design and experience, you can see the sneak peek here, but it really looks amazing, and that's my personal opinion, but it looks amazing compared to what it is today, and it will have an improved IRD experience, which is in line with the market-leading food delivery apps such as Uber Eats, GrabHub, or GrabFood. So this means guests will be able to use our app in the way that they use those apps that they regularly use daily. And itinerary coming from Key, so both Scott and Chris touched on this a little bit, but we will have an app itinerary that's coming from Key, so guests will be able to see their booked activities in the app. And the new app will also have persistent navigation bar at the bottom. So whatever they want to access, so itinerary or chat, they can do it quickly from the persistent navigation. So going into leads responsibility. So this list of leads hasn't changed a lot. So I'm sure this is a little bit familiar to most of you. So property lead is responsible for success and accuracy of mobile and tablet app content, as well as execution of the request and usage on property. And typically those are hotel managers. And for rooms lead, you're responsible for successful delivery of check-in and check-out, as well as hotel services through hot sauce or new request management system. For content lead, you're responsible for overall app and tablet content quality, language and accuracy in line with the guidelines. And for spa lead, you're responsible for maintaining accuracy of spa content and management of spa-related inquiry from the app. For F&B and IRD lead, so this is something new. We're breaking down IRD apart from F&B because F&B lead is going to be responsible for F&B content and management of restaurant reservations, but IRD lead is going to be responsible for content entry of IRD menus into the new system called IRIS and successful delivery of IRD requests. And chat lead will continue to be responsible for successful implementation of chat program, including the new request management process in FS Messenger, which we will be talking about very shortly, so hold on tight. And for residence lead, you will be responsible for the residential content as well as successful delivery of requests from chat. And for IT lead, you are continuing to be responsible for ensuring the system integration and interfaces remain active and in full working order. And training lead, you will be responsible for ensuring quality and effectiveness of the operational training and employee awareness campaign. So jumping into what kind of training you will be needing to attend. So there are two main types of training that you will need to attend. So first training would be content. So for content training, we have a mobile app and tablet content training. So mobile app and tablet content will be coming through at fourseasons.com, and content update that's made in web will reflect on mobile app and tablet app going forward. So content lead is responsible for attending this app content management training to understand the content source and how to update content, and that is going to be scheduled for next week. So we will be sending an invite to content lead as well as rooms lead, spa lead, and F&B lead. For in-room dining content, we will be managing in-room dining content through a new system called Iris. Content creation and updated process is quite similar to Intality, and we'll continue to follow the brand standard that we created for the Intality. So RD lead is responsible for attending content management training, which is 5 calls, and request management training calls that are happening in June. We'll also be sending an invite for the IRD content kickoff call for next week. So IRD lead will be receiving those invites shortly. And I think Linnea has already been in touch with you to walk through what's coming up, but you will be briefed more into details next week when you join the IRD kickoff call. So the second part of the training that you will need to attend is request management training. For mobile app and tablet app, for hot sales properties, so similar to Intality, service and amenity requests will be sent directly to HotSoft. For non-hot sales properties, we'll have new request management that we just talked about a little bit, Quest, that replaces Intality's ICS. It is quite similar to interface to Key, but it's going to be more simpler and easier to use. So a room lead housekeeping, with housekeeping team, guest services, F&B, and in-room dining lead, IT lead, and training lead is responsible for attending this mobile app request management training that's happening in June to make sure they're comfortable with receiving the request in the place that they need to receive. And with this launch of new mobile app, we actually made an enhancement to Messenger to receive some of the requests in Messenger because some of the requests make sense to be here because you will be having more interactions with the guest. So we will be sending a self-training guide for leads to familiarize with new process in mid-May. But it is for requests like check-in and check-out and spa and dining reservations where you may need to get more details from the guest. So this process, this guideline will be sent in mid-May to your chat lead. So in terms of training timeline, for front desk team, PBX core team, and spa team that will be managing requests through Messenger, you will be training yourselves in May to learn how to manage check-in and check-out through Messenger. And for spa team, you will be learning how to manage spa inquiries through Messenger and enter into Key. And in the middle of May, we ask you to do an internal training within your team to make sure you train any necessary team members. And in early June, we will go live with this new functionality so that your team can start receiving requests through Messenger. For in-room dining and F&B team, you will be receiving the training from Linnea in May to enter IRD content, and you'll learn how to manage dining reservations through chat and entering into Key. In June, we ask you to train your team And again, you will be stress testing in June, and in July you will be going live with this new request management process. So we ask that you communicate with your team and build awareness within your team. For housekeeping and guest services team, you will be learning how to manage requests through HotSauce or New Request Manager in June. And you are trained the necessary team member on new procedure and services in June, and stress test operational procedure in June. And you will be going live with this functionality in July. So again, we'll ask you to communicate with your team and prepare for go live for July. So just putting into a calendar view, we are having a kickoff call right now. We are having a content management training for next 5 weeks for in-room dining. We'll have app content management training next week, and we'll be sending a messenger request management self-training guide in mid-May. And we'll be having a request management training in mid-June to make sure you know how to manage requests through HotSauce or Quest. So I'm going to pass it on to Linnea to cover the app experience and more exciting part of this presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Yuki. So yeah, now that everyone knows the work that's going to kind of go into making this happen and the work that's happened in the past, we're going to really look at, what this experience looks like for the guest and why we're doing this and kind of what it means for your team as in the operation and making sure that everyone really has been taken care of, because at the end we really want, and this is really all about that guest and employee experience. So we started off with Intellity, and they were a great partner, for a time, but they just were limited on what we could do up to a point. So their capabilities just weren't in line with what we wanted to do, and similar to how Chris mentioned, we wanted to be at the top. If we're being compared to the top, we obviously want to continue to lead. So we'll continue to do that. And so we wanted to grow and make it our own. So now we really have that possibility for future improvement. And as digital really is, it's about creating and then iterating. So where can we move and where can we continue to grow and be the best? Because that's what we want to be with the Four Seasons. So what does that mean in terms of digital? It means keeping it simple, making it easy to connect, and keeping it relevant. Guests want to feel like they're working with the best technology, but they also want to know how to use it. We all know our guests. Some of them, know how to use their smartphone, and some of them still want printed copies of everything. So we need to be able to tailor it to everyone. So this app is really about that and making sure that we continue to do that. And so continuing with the keeping it relevant, this has to do with, how do we step ahead of the guests before they even know what they want. So keeping it time relevant. So when a guest wakes up in the morning, how do we suggest something that's relevant to that time of day? This shows the beauty of that app, kind of how Yuki mentioned. She's biased and thinks that it's beautiful. I do as well. I think it finally looks like we've really moved into that 2019, and hopefully and beyond we'll be able to iterate from it. So this kind of shows, what do they need for their stay, but also in the tablet in the room. Good morning, we're glad to have you. How do we offer them breakfast or lunch? Really taking that luxury to the next level and offering something before they even know that they needed it. So shown on the app and the iPad there, making sure that we're a step ahead of our guests, because that obviously allows us to be there. And in terms of the guests, they want to know what they have on their schedule, and especially at some of our, properties like our island properties, and making sure that they know all of their booked activities, their dining, their spa reservations, their transportation. Guests want to feel like they're taken care of. And all of this is going to be powered through Key. One of the reasons why that training for making sure that we get everything into Key is going to be so critical. Because the more information that we put in there, the more secure our guests are going to feel, and therefore obviously really enhance that experience. So it'll be visible through their mobile app. and they'll be able to, plan their day around that. Or maybe they'll see a gap and will be able to, fit in that massage by the ocean and make their experience even better, and obviously driving our revenues as well. So not a bad thing on either end. So really helping us from everywhere. And then in the room, some guests, sometimes they want to call and sometimes they don't. So on that iPad, allowing guests to be just one click away from connecting with our employees. Our operators can just quickly respond and we can tailor that conversation, and keeping connected with the guests and allowing for that flexible schedule since everyone's really on their own time. And making it easy for them. So, they can always chat with us and they can always say, we'd like some towels, they can send us a message, but why not have a few of the key things already ready for them just to select? So we've obviously made a list of services and items within that hotel that are universal across our brand, because we want to make sure that a guest using the app in Hong Kong feels the same way they do when they're using it in Baltimore. And so really allowing them to, I need to choose this item. And if it doesn't work out and it's not on that list, then perfect. They have that persistent navigation of chat at the bottom, and they'll be able to ask us whenever they want something, and making sure that it's really ready to go. And they'll be able to just use this app to look at the information. So since this is all coming from fourseasons.com, it gives us a great opportunity to make sure that the right information is obviously with the right person at the right time. So they see these beautiful images of these pools and various areas. So we're able to really grow and enrich that through fourseasons.com, and it's pulling from there. So only one place to do your content, and therefore that guest has that information and they know what the hotel has to offer. Guests are going to our hotels for a lot of our offerings, and it's going to be different in every place. So making sure that we can promote those features and to keep that familiar for them. And here, in terms of being familiar, it's really about keeping that consistent design no matter if you are requesting a wake-up call, as shown here, or if you're ordering in-room dining, or if you're on the spa page, which you'll see in a couple of slides. But making sure that the guest feels confident that they know how to use the app that they should be using, because it'll be consistent all around. And obviously, we want to make sure that we deliver things for the right the first time, So, especially with a wake-up call, we know that, part of our standards are, when someone requests a wake-up call, you always ask, would they like a reminder call or would they like a follow-up? The app is iterative of that. We want to make sure that we are hitting our standards on the app the same way that an employee would as well as making it simple for that employee who's receiving that request, that they don't then need to chat the guest and say, oh, I apologize, did you want a secondary call? Or even having to call them in the room, completely negating what the intentions were. So this app is all about making sure that the guest is taken care of and that the operation really can deliver. And we really want to make sure that guests are encouraged to do more. We want to promote services and treatments. We want guests to get into the spa and highlight those unique offerings. And so this kind of shows a little bit more about our spa and wellness, something that we're really working on. But really allowing, your property team, especially your PR director, to kind of, really have fun with this on fourseasons.com, and it's going to pull into here. So we can create that unique experience that each guest wants and why they traveled there to begin with. Again, how I mentioned, the massage by the ocean. That doesn't happen just anywhere, and making sure that they get to know that experience is available is hugely important. And then simplifying that communication with us. So I'm a guest and I'm looking on the spa website and I'm looking at this apothecary treatment, and all of a sudden I want to book this. It's going to prompt them to chat. And so that chat message is received to us on our end, and at the same time we're also going to receive a message of where exactly that guest was looking, allowing us to be one step ahead and really say, oh, wonderful, I know that you were looking for that apothecary clay mosaic mask or whatever that might be, and really allowing us to kind of wow them even before they even knew it was possible. So really simplifying that communication, making it so they have to tell us less in order for us to to wow them and making that employee's life easier as well and having that guest feel completely taken care of. And then while we move into food and beverage, I think food and beverage will be really happy about the changes that are to come, but really the display and the emphasizing of your outlets for guests. Everyone always wants to have a wonderful meal, and this will really highlight each property's uniqueness and the different restaurants that you have available. And in regards to in-room dining, we really wanted to keep it simple, the same way that you use in Uber Eats, the functions that you see every day and the muscle memory for many of us that we've created by using that. Why not use some of these ideas, but also make them better for us and make them tailored to the Four Seasons experience and keep that seamless to make sure that they know that they're taken care of again and that we can obviously deliver. So they'll have that as well as the tray pickup, having them be able to tell us when do they want that tray picked up. So not only do they feel good about their user experience and their guest experience, but we can know how we can deliver in the future. And I know that anyone who's in food and beverage on the line right now is probably so excited about in-room dining and tray pickup because I know that this is a hot button in a lot of places, and we want to obviously make this better for our teams as well. So lots of things to do. And obviously, guests often want things yesterday. Doesn't always happen with food, but they'll know when their dining order will be ready. So we're going to use kind of some algorithms based on our outlet times as well as our lead times for the items, and basically be able to tell the guest, you know what, that will be ready within 35 minutes, and we'd be able to create that order time. So they'll know exactly when they'll get their food, and obviously that is within our standard and something that we can deliver on. And for residences, I just have a quick thing just to say about that. You're going to get a lot more information later because our residential guests are different than our property guests. So they're going to have something a little bit different. So that corporate residential team will be working actively with the vendors and as well as with us to make sure that those owners are taken care of and can enjoy the app the way that it makes sense for them. So that's continuing to be iterative. Andres will be sending out some information, so look for that if you are on the residences side. And so you'll learn about that updated experience for residential owners, which will be very exciting for them as well. So now into the fun next steps. So just a couple of things, but the main thing that I really, really want to make sure that everyone understands at the end of this call is that there's an email group that's been created for every property. XYZ here is shown for your property acronyms. So we show an example on here for Beijing. So you see the BEJ Mobile 2. So this has been created for everyone. What we do need is for your IT lead. They are responsible for adding each of the leads that were mentioned earlier in the call to this email group. This email group is going to be vital to receive a lot of the communication and then to obviously disseminate through that to their hotels. You'll see here that this does need to be complete by Friday, May 3rd. So a couple of days to get those emails in there. It should not take very long, not that long of a list that needs to get in there, but obviously critical to making sure that communication goes out, especially for those training invitations. That is something you will not want to miss and something that we really appreciate you taking a hold of. And then to continue on, the in-room dining kickoff will actually be on May 7th. So those invites actually have already gone out. If you did not receive it, please send an email into the mobile app help desk, or you can send it into our email group. You'll be receiving a communication from us this evening as well after our final call. But that kickoff is really important to understanding the biggest work effort of this based on the property side. So you'll learn about the new design for in-room dining. You'll get a little bit better vision of that. The introduction to that Iris platform, the overview and timeline. We'll look at content and organizing your menu, the attributes and modifiers, adding any users. And so we do suggest that the Director of Food and Beverage, in-room dining managers, and the assistant managers, or anyone who will be working with content should be on that call. So that'll be really critical. So thank you in advance for joining us. In the future, the Director of Food and Beverage will not be on those in-room dining calls because the assistant managers and the in-room dining manager can relay that information. And then obviously for app content management, we do have that content training and that will cover the tablet and app content sources, the brand standard, the content review process. And we do suggest that content lead, rooms lead, spa lead, and food and beverage lead join us for that. And those are basically the next calls that you have. So if you do have questions, the mobile app help desk is a great place to go. So you get to then hear responses from me. You'll get Yuki, and you'll also get Melissa. So it's really a great way for us to kind of see where are the issues, where are the questions. So please send it into there. Obviously, we're always here for a quick ping or an email, but again, that's a much better way for us to basically filter the different issues. So we really appreciate that. And so now we can kind of go into the questions that we have on this call to answer any of those for you. And please type them in, and we'll be able to answer them. Thank you.
So I see one from James, and the question was, some properties do not have their own spa, so will concierge be attending the request through messenger training instead? So the managing request through messenger is going to be a self-training, so we'll be sending it to everyone that's in that XYZ Mobile 2 group, so you can redistribute to teams that you think should be reviewing it. So in your case, if you don't have your own spa, you can send it to concierge team so that they can manage this new process, and review this training document. There's another question from Kevin in regards to the residential leads being on those trainings. I would suggest that you hold off until you hear from Andreas on the further residential updates, because they will be having their own training as well. So I would say to hold off on that. And another question from Mark, when and how can we let you know the specific people who should be invited to various calls? So basically the portion that Linnea just covered is probably answering your question, but if you add them to the Mobile 2 group, they will automatically be receiving the invite. So if you could have your IT team add the leads to the email group as soon as possible, that will be helpful. And if we don't have Quest or Hot Sauce, do we need to do anything differently? So for your property, so properties that doesn't have Hot Sauce, that currently uses ICS to manage requests, you will be using Quest. So there's no additional cost or no additional installation per se needed to use Quest. It is going to be really similar to how you launch Key. So we'll send an instruction to your team how you get access to Quest, but you will be managing requests within Quest.
And then we have another question from Viviana. Will the app be in sync with Book for Time or spa reservations, or is only those requested via the app? So the app does not sync with any of the spa or Book for Time, SpaSoft, anything like that. So those spa reservations do need to go into Key to be read into the itinerary. It is something that we are looking into to be able to have those talk, but that has not been created yet. So for now, obviously, Key is that holder that really feeds into that itinerary. So those spa reservations will go into Key, and we'll have some training on that as well. And then we do have a question also from Mark. Does the ICS in-room dining screen that we have today go away? So yes, when we move and turn off Intellity and use Iris as the main platform when we go live with the Mobile 2.0, yes, that ICS will go away, and you'll instead use Iris as well as Quest to look at those in-room dining orders.
And there's another question from Jose on how flexible can the timing be adjusted for IRD delivery time confirmation. So we will cover this in detail during IRD training that Linnea will be completing. But this will be you will not have an ability to manually adjust the delivery time, but it will rather be calculated based on the item lead time. So, for example, if you have a burger that has a 45 minutes lead time, it will only to begin with, when the guest is trying to order, they only have a time that is farther than 45 minutes, and the time that's calculated and shown at the end will be whatever the time that the guest selected. And there's
Great.
another question. Sorry.
No. Go ahead, Yuki. Go ahead.
There's another question from Nur regarding how we'll roll out this new app in the guest room iPad. So guest room for tablet properties, we will be sending a additional communication to you to onboard you for the timeline for in-room tablet. So we'll be sending that out to you today as well to make sure you know the process.
Perfect. And then another question in terms of licensing, if you wanted to add tablets to some of your suites or pool cabanas, this is for anyone, is that possible? So yes, adding tablets and looking into that is definitely possible, and Rory will connect with you separately to kind of look into that for you, okay?
And there's another question from Stan on, will guests be able to view their folio on the app? The answer will be no. The folio capability right now is coming from something called the Intality interface, and that will be gone by the time we move off from Intality. So guests won't be able to see the folio that they can see today.
Perfect. And then another question from Corey. Is the plan to have a time frame for deliveries that mirrors a pre-order, example to be 10 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. in the event that in-room dining is running late? So it will be just one time that shows up on their app if there is something that is running late. It's similar to today when you are running late, to contact that guest directly to obviously let them know that the time frame will be a little bit different. And then to continue on with the in-room dining, will this be changing the format of the way the in-room dining orders come through Hot Sauce? Thanks, Krista, for that. So it will not. It'll still go through Hot Sauce. If you're a Hot Sauce property, those in-room dining orders will still go through Hot Sauce. And again, a lot of the in-room dining questions will be also a big part of that kickoff next week. So really great. Another question from Stan, will existing app users be migrated to the new platform? So they are going to receive an alert, one of those kind of like those update alerts that you all get that I often ignore. Don't do that. But they're going to get that alert to update their phone, and they won't be able to use the app until they update it. It'll be a very simple update for them, so then they'll obviously have the newest version.
And there's another question that when this presentation and the recording be available, we will be sending this recording and presentation by end of day today, so after our last call at 9 p.m. So expect to receive that around 10 p.m. Tonight. And there's another question from Cardis regarding residential. Is there a way for residential leads to participate with the rooms in the interim, given the similarities in some properties like Scottsdale? So you are welcome to join the call. Just make sure that you're included in those mobile to leads email, and we will send an invite to that group. So just make sure you add it to that group, and you're welcome to join those sessions.
Great. And then a question from Dennis. For the IT manager who's adding new team members to the group, if those managers aren't hired yet or you don't have someone in that place, add anyone that you can, and obviously making sure that though if you do not have a manager in that area, that you can have someone else attend that call so you don't lose out on that information. And then Hillary, I think we answered your questions for the guests will have to download the new mobile app. The question was, will guests have to download the Four Seasons mobile app? And so yes, it will have that update. So it will not change it automatically. They'll have to obviously install the update. And the question from Steve, it goes, is what happens for properties with third-party spas? Again, that spa information will have to go into Key.
So the other question from Verena about, are we able to add link to our online booking to the spa section? Like our website, the guests may do real-time bookings while the spa is closed during the night. So this is what Linnea answered earlier, but for spa booking system like Book for Time or other spa booking system, we have not integrated yet. This is we're still evaluating the possibility of integrating with those systems. In the meantime, that if you are off hours, if your spa is off hours, and you want to forward that message to, say, for example, front desk or PBX, it is possible due to the functionality with the messenger. You are able to forward those messages to other departments during off hours.
And then another question from Corey. Since the information pulls from fourseasons.com, is the long-term plan to put an IRD amenity presentation on the app for guests to pre-book them? It's a great idea, and yes, it's something that has been thought of, but not in the works yet. But glad to hear that you're thinking about it as well, and definitely something to obviously drive revenue to an area that we want to. So it's a great idea and definitely a possibility.
And there's another great question from Zika. What's the difference between Quest and Hot Sauce? Do we need to have Quest if we have Hot Sauce? So if you're Hot Sauce properties, you will be managing your request within Hot Sauce. Quest will be available, but Quest is there for you to do a reporting. So the enhanced reporting is actually from Quest. So we'll provide you with more details, but request management will be done through Hot Sauce.
Another question from Rory for the spa, can it link to Book for Time? Again, it won't book for time just yet, just still needs to be manually put into Key, something that we are working on, but obviously something that is a little bit tricky to actually do, so everything just needs to get into Key. And then another question from Sharon. So a long room service order currently does not display completely in Hot Sauce. That is totally accurate, and so it shows up in Hot Sauce, but you also definitely receive that email. So that's if you are not POS integrated, your coordinators are putting that in manually, so you'll still get that information as well.
And great question from Nara regarding multi-language functionality. So to go live, to launch the mobile 2.0, we will have what we have right now with English and the English and simplified Chinese, but we will be sending the communications to properties that have multilingual currently to provide you with more clarity on that. But to align with what we have right now and to get everyone out the door, we will be having English and simplified Chinese only.
Perfect. And then I see a question from Amir. Will the new app link with Symphony Micros? If your property is POS integrated, then yes, it will. But if it is not POS integrated, then no, it won't. And how you input your orders once receiving that app request does not really change. If you're a Hot Sauce property, you'll see that through Hot Sauce as well. But if you are not and you've been using ICS, then your coordinators will do the same thing in terms of inputting that into your Symphony Micros. So it just depends on if you are POS integrated or not POS integrated. And
another question from Rihanna, if the folio is no longer available through Intality, will it no longer be available on the television? No, they're two different platforms, so it will still be available on the television.
Another question from Stan, is there an app for Quest and the new IRD platform? So the new IRD platform and Quest are going to both feed, they're basically the employee-facing side of what is going to feed into the Mobile 2.0, which is in the guest-facing app. So Quest will basically kind of be like a tile similar looking to Key on your MyCloud. So that's where the employee would be able to access Quest. And then that new IRD platform, that Iris, will mostly really be used just for when the IRD team is building their menu and putting in the content. But going down the line, when they actually receive those app orders, it will come through Quest, HotSauce, as well as that email. So no app for Quest or the new interim dining platform. They both feed into that Mobile 2.0 to make that guest experience.
So just being conscious of time, we'll just go over one more question, and you're welcome to stay on if you want to cover, if you want to ask more questions. But the last question with broader team will be, will we be able to add, we'll be able to send a PDF folio from Opera through chat. That was a question that was asked. I think this is something that Melissa is actively working on to have a look at. I don't think we have a date or decision yet, but this is a great suggestion, and we will look into it. So just being conscious of time, we just wanted to thank you again for joining the call. We will continue to cover the questions, but if you don't have any questions, please feel free to jump off. Thank you again. We'll be sending an invite shortly. Expect to receive an output email around 10 p.m. today.
Thanks, everybody.